Morning, everyone, and thank you for joining our signature education series, kind of farming essentials and using the signature title tools to really help in maximizing your business using the different features that it offers with property profiles, with the farming, with the statistics, and then also combining net sheets as a part of that as well. So I am Raquel Aboud. I am the Director of Business Development here at Signature Title, and I am always available to help you with these on a one-on-one basis. I am recording this today so that I can send you the link and you can use this as a reference when you are trying to work on this on your own. I'm in this system on a daily basis, so I am very familiar with how it works, but I know for those that are just getting started in it, farming can be very intimidating, and trying to figure out the little tricks that the tools have can be confusing as well. So know that I am here and I am happy to help. Like I said, I am recording this today. Just a little intro on myself. I've been with Signature Title for a little over a year now, and my goal is really bringing added value to all of you as agents and helping you in your efforts in reaching the people that you want to reach to grow your sphere and bringing value to your clients. So the Title Toolbox and what we offer in our farming is one of those ways that we can help you with that. So a couple of things, like I said, I'm going to go through on the simple tools and setting you apart from the competition using these tools, ways that you can get signed up and for Title Toolbox and the Signature Bottom Line net sheet application, and then access to those resources so you can start growing your business today. I know that right now all of our agents are in the start of the new year and really focusing on having that database and growing their database and using farming in a way that's beneficial for your efforts and the focus that you want to have for this next year. So now is the perfect time for you to be getting started and really focusing in on how Title Toolbox can help you do that. So I am going to be watching the chat, but I'm also working on the computer on this at the same time. So I'll stop and check questions as we go along the way. So feel free to add questions into the chat and I'll be able to get to them as we're progressing. At the end of this event, for all those that registered, I will send out the links so that you can get registered for the Title Toolbox account and for you to be able to have access to them as well. So I am going to share my screen. Okay. Got my chat box open, all of these different things that I need to have an assistant helping me with while I'm doing this. Can everyone just see my screen okay? Okay. So right here, this is the main screen for our Title Toolbox account. And like I said, after the event, for all those that registered, I will send out the link for you to be able to create your own account. I will receive an email requesting approval that I just have to click yes, and then you will have access to be able to get into the same system. So the main features that Title Toolbox has to offer you is in the property searches, the farming, and the statistics. So I'm going to go through each one of these, but I'm really going to focus a lot on the farming today because we have a lot of questions on how to utilize the system to effectively farm in areas that you're interested in. So really quickly on a property search, all you do is enter in any address that you want to search. You can put in an owner's name as well. You can put in a parcel number, and this can be used throughout the entire United States. This is not just in Nevada. So Title Toolbox is really awesome because you can use this anywhere. The property will pull up for you and give you just some basic information on when it was last sold, the price that it's sold for, your owner's name. It'll give you the basic statistics on the property on square footage, bedrooms, baths, and then it will tell you if it's owner or non-owner occupied. The one thing to note on the non-owner occupied, that is when the mailing address and the site address don't match. So in Tahoe, that can be a little tricky because many Tahoe residents have PO box addresses. So it's going to show as non-owner occupied if that is the case, when in fact it may be owner occupied and that they just have a PO box. So that's just something to be aware of depending on the area. You have this little wheel to navigate the different features that you can pull up. Basically for this right now, I'm going to pull a full property profile and comp. You can also look at phone numbers and emails. There is a charge for that. That's part of our Premier data, but it's 12 cents for both a phone number and an email. And you are not charged if it is not able to provide that for you. So with our profile with comps, it has a preset for the comps that it's pulling based off of the property and the distance. This usually is a 1 mile distance. This one was expanded out, but you can go and adjust the distance if you need to expand it out further in your search. You can adjust your bedrooms, bath, square footage, plus or minus percentage, and you can also increase your time frame that it's pulling those comps for. And then you're just going to generate your full profile, but you can check out some of the comparable details prior to pulling that profile if you want to take a look at the area surrounding and the median price, high price, low price, etc. So you generate your profile. It takes about 30 seconds typically for that to generate. The property profile is something that you can share with your clients. So it is a great tool to be able to use, pull this up and have with you when you go to a listing presentation. I have had agents say that this has been something that has allowed them to stand out from their competition because they have come more prepared and having done a little bit more research prior to the listing presentation. And this is something that's free for you to be able to access. When it pulls up, you're going to just click the link for here. You can email this to your clients in PDF format or just print it off directly. This would have your information instead of mine if you pulled it yourself. And basically what this is going to give is your property owner information, like I said, that site and mailing address information, the general property characteristics, and then it's going to start going through all the recent sales and loan history on the property. Then you have all of these brighter blue document numbers. These are hyperlinks. And so you can click on this directly. This is the hyperlink deed that is for the most recent sale of this property. It's the same as what you would pull from the assessor site, with the added convenience of pulling it directly from the property profile itself. Scroll back down, using the hyperlinks. So this is just a great way for you to be able to do a little bit of research prior to a listing appointment. Then you have your assessment and tax information on the property. And then right below your aerial map, there's another hyperlink that you have to have really good eyesight to see. But this will pull up for you your parcel map as well. And you can download these directly if you would like to have them printed out for your listing appointment, or just have the property profile itself with it hyperlinked. And it's going to go through any title changes that took place on the property. So there'll be more pages depending on how many transactions took place, whether they were a refinance, whether they were a resale, whether it was being moved into a trust. Any of those title changes will be reflected in the property profile. Then one of the very cool features that this tool offers is this mortgage amortization schedule. So this is a great way of having an idea of what the balance of the loan is on the property. Oftentimes Homeowners know what they pay on a monthly basis for their mortgage, but they may not be aware of how much is still owed on their mortgage. So this is awesome to be able to reference this. It is an amortization by year. So it is an estimate, obviously, depending on what time frame within the year it is to kind of gauge the difference, but it's a pretty close idea. And having this information then is great for being able to add that into our net sheet application to really determine the seller proceeds and be able to answer any of the questions that they have regarding that. So the mortgage record is part of the property profile. Then it's going to go into basically some pre-done farms for you. It has done this just as an added convenience to make it easier to quickly pull up a farm list based off of the radius of a 1 mile distance within the area that you were searching the property for. You have your neighborhood comps, the detailed view, and then just a short list. And then once we get right past that, this is all of your farms that are pre-done. Your nearby neighborhood map, your next seller's map, meaning those homes that are plus or minus 1 year of the average years of ownership for that neighborhood. And then your out-of-state owner's map. So what these farms that are pre-done offer you is just a quick view all records. And if you quickly just hit that, it's going to basically take you into the title toolbox. It's already done the farming, and all you have to do is download and view the records. And it's going to give that to you in a spreadsheet, and you are set to go to be able to use that for mailing. I'm going to go more into detail on this with the farming. I just want to show you this is a cheat sheet way of accessing a list very quickly connected to the property that you are listing. So that's just a really fast overview on the property profiles and pulling that. So that was under property searches. So that was just a very fast because I'm going to focus more on the farming. If you have questions on the property searches, please don't hesitate to reach out and ask me. But on the farming, this tool offers 3 different ways that you can do your farm. You can do a radius search, a boundary search, or an area search. I typically do boundary searches because it allows you to really zero in on the exact neighborhood and areas that you want to focus in and draw the lines very deliberately. The problem with the radius search is that it's a circle. You can make it larger, you can make it smaller, but it's still going to reach and cover different parts of neighborhoods and not be as exact. Area searches are helpful if you're trying to find something that's a needle in a haystack. You can search for within an entire city, you can search within an entire zip code or multiple zip codes. The issue with area searches, like I said, is that if you are not looking for something very specific, it's going to provide you with thousands of records, and having that many records is not really doing you any good. So before I get into the farming, when I meet with agents, what I really try to focus in on is having a marketing strategy before you just jump into farming. What are you trying to accomplish? What do you want to achieve with this farm? And having a deliberate goal that you are after with what you're doing. Because anyone can put out mailers out there and just have a list of addresses to send things to. But what do you want that message to be in order to have an audience that's appropriate for that message? So that's a key factor before you just jump in to creating a list. So I'm going to do a boundary search to start. So you can pick any address to start from. You can even just put a street name. It doesn't have to have a specific house address. You can get rid of the address box because it's in the way. And then over on the side, you have your plus to be able to zoom in. You can have that be as large or as small as you need. The closer you go in, you'll be able to see the street names more specifically. This little green push pin, this is what allows you to start drawing your boundary lines. So every time you click your mouse or you hit your keypad on your computer, it allows you to pin in order to draw where you want those farm lines to be. You can have it be as large or as small as you want. You can cut into different streets. It doesn't have to be a perfect shape. So if you know different neighborhoods and certain pockets of the neighborhood that you don't want to include, you can very easily go around that. Your very last push pin when you're done is a double click or a double tap on your keypad. And that's what allows you to have the option to select next in order to move forward. If you have an error, it's not a big deal. You just go back into the farming boundary search, put your street name in again. This using the little mouse and the keypad can be a little tricky until you get more comfortable with it. When you hit next, this is going to take you into the search parameters. Some of this can look really intimidating, but you only need to fill in the aspects that are important to you. So you don't have to go in and complete all of the different boxes that Title ToolBox is showing you. This is a way for you to be able to narrow if you are trying to find something very specific, but you do not need to go in and fill in all of these different values in all of the different sections. So in property characteristics, first on the property type, if you are just focusing on single family residence, you can exit out of the condo. If there are other types of properties that you would like to search for, it gives you a full drop-down menu of many different properties. But one thing to keep in mind is that these types of properties that it's pulling depends on how they are quantified at the assessor's office. So depending on how the assessor site has the property recorded, that will be the property type that it is going to pull up as. So at any time, when you get into the area search, you can do a get count, and this will just tell you how many homes are in that farmed area. I did a fairly large area, so I expected that I was going to have a large number. For the perfect purpose of this example, I wanted to show you how you can scale it down based off of very specific property features. So we have 837 to start with. At the very bottom, it gives you what your farm is searching for. So if you receive a weird number, something looks not right, look at the bottom and make sure that those are in fact what you are trying to search for. So in property, in the farming feature, it has the custom filters that gives you ways of narrowing down that farm very easily. So in the custom filters, you can go straight over and say, you know, I'm going to focus on just those next sellers, meaning the homes in that neighborhood that are the plus or minus 1 year of the average years of ownership for that specific area. Again, at the bottom, it's telling me, okay, it's the boundary view that I drew out. I selected next sellers, state of Nevada, and I'm looking for single family residence. When I do get count, that narrowed it down. So out of that 837 properties, there are 29 that meet the next seller category. So when I talk about marketing strategy, this is one of the examples. And having a message, you know, the audience, they're individuals in the home that have been there approaching the 1 year of the average years of ownership and 1 year past. So the message that you send to those individuals then would be focused more around the amount of equity in that time frame that they have hopefully reached in their home, and the opportunities for them to take advantage of that equity and maybe find that next house that they want to move into, or having conversation with them about what is happening in their neighborhood and what homes are selling for and the amount of equity that they may not realize that they have. So your audience is a key element to your farming. So that's just the next sellers. Another great filter is the out-of-state owners, because in those cases, it's a very high likelihood that it's an investment property. And again, it could be a great opportunity for those investors to be able to sell, take that equity, and possibly use that equity to buy additional properties for investment based off the equity that they have in the home. So there were 75 properties that were found with that criteria. So the other filters that it offers are the empty nesters. This is really great for pockets, older pockets of Reno. Old Southwest is a great example. Parts of Sparks is a great example. People that have been in the home for 30 plus years, and the home has at least 3 bedrooms within that home. So it is a great marketing message for that audience, as an opportunity for them to scale down, have something smaller, less maintenance, maybe less property that they have to keep up. So that the audience, again, is a key part of your marketing message. A lot of times I will get questions about, I'm going to click out of my out-of-state owners. I'm going to go back to my next sellers just for this. I get questions, okay, I want to make sure that it's owner occupied. So in the general tab, it has a feature for you to be able to select, yes, I want owner occupied properties. So then you get your count. So of those next seller properties, only 19 of them are owner occupied. So the remainder of the 10 properties were likely investment properties, as they are not considered to be owner occupied. And this particular neighborhood is not one that typically we see a lot of PO boxes. So it, again, in your message, these are homeowners living in these properties. So you can make sure your message targets specifically to those homeowners. So one of the features that Title ToolBox also offers is this Premier data. The Premier data has phone numbers and emails that you can purchase. So the Premier data does have a charge. With the phone numbers and emails, you can purchase them individually, or you can do a both phone number and email combined. When you do get count, it will give you what the cost would be if you were to purchase that for the entire list. So for your 19 properties, it's $2.28. So extremely minimal in cost. And the one thing to keep in mind is that if you are working and developing an email database and you spend the $2.28 for phone numbers and emails, that's a lot cheaper than postage. So if you are working on trying to create an email database in a specific neighborhood, this is a great way of using this tool to try and access emails. You end up only being charged for what the tool is able to provide for you. So if it does not provide all of those records, you only get charged for what it does provide. And if you did just want emails, you weren't interested in phone numbers, you are able to purchase just those as well. And the emails is $1.33. So where it has the pay now is you enter in your credit card information, and then you will receive an email will tell you your actual charge, and then you will have the opportunity to download the records. I have to click out of this part on the phone numbers and emails right now because it will not allow me to proceed on this without the paying. But I want to also show you in the leads. The leads are a great way of accessing life event information for your farmed area. So this is where, because I had such a large farm area, this is a great opportunity to see what leads there could possibly be. So I have to click out of that next seller because otherwise, when it's searching for the leads, it's going to look for, if I pick one of these, I'm going to pick divorce. It's going to look for someone on a property where there's been a divorce, that they are plus or minus 1 year from the average years of ownership, and that it's owner occupied. So it really narrows those parameters, and it's less likely to give you results. So I'm going to click out of the next sellers. I'm going to click out of the owner occupied. I'm going to do the divorce. You do have to put in a time frame. I'll say within the last 12 months. When I do get count, shows that there are 4 properties that match the criteria of a divorce within the last 12 months within the farmed area that we selected. And the cost for those records is $2. You can do this with any type. You have liens, list pens, notice of trustee sale, notice of default. One notice of default in the last 12 months, it's 5 cents for that record. And again, you have the pay now feature. So the question did come up on this regarding the phone calls. Does it provide phone numbers if they are on the do not call list? Very good question. Thank you for asking. If a number has been registered with the do not call list, that number will not populate. So that is a good question. Thank you for asking. So that's why on the records, it gives you what your actual charge is, because the likelihood is that your actual charge would be less than the max amount quoted. It delivers on the phone numbers and emails about 75% of phone numbers, and it delivers about 35 to 45% on the emails. Go back to leads. So before I go past the leads, are there any questions on this part in searching for the leads or any of the Premier data? I can tell you in the leads where this can be really helpful. I helped an agent that had a client that was looking for a property in a very specific neighborhood last year that there weren't any homes that were for sale in. And their clients were coming here from out of state. So I helped her in doing a search on life events, and she ended up having 3, well, there was a divorce, and then there was another property that had an affidavit of death. So she was able to reach out to the divorce property owner and just offered the information and asked if they would be interested in having a conversation. She had clients that were coming from out of state, very interested in the property and wanting to see if they would be interested in conversation on selling. It ended up that the person was open to having a conversation about selling, and then also needed to find a smaller home to be able to live in for themselves. So it led to an opportunity for a listing as well as a buying client as well. So this is where these leads can be really helpful if you're very specific on what you are wanting to accomplish with them. Okay, so back, I'm going to click out of the leads that I'm searching. At the bottom, I'm going to get rid of the notice of default, the time frame. I'm going to go back to, again, my empty nesters. And I'm going to show you what it looks like in downloading the records. So once you have a number that's reasonable of what you're trying to, and an audience that you're trying to reach, you can go ahead and download those records. And this is where you have your full list. If you purchased phone numbers and emails, there will be an added column after the owner's name that will have phone numbers, and then another will have emails. If you purchase any of those life events, those are found at the very end when you scroll over. These numbers, when you hover over the numbers, they'll turn green on the map where you can see where they're located. This navigation wheel is here as well, where you can pull up an individual property profile in any one of these. You can do an individual phone number and email lookup. It has other reports as well. So if you wanted to see on a specific property, just a quick one-page overview on the property, you're able to pull that up from here as well. It's taking a few seconds. I'll let that think on that, and then I'll come back to the one page because I want to show you on downloading the list. So this is your full and complete list. So now what do you do with it? So I recommend that you save your farm because it will be your Title Toolbox account. You can go back in and access and pull up that farm at any time. However, if you purchased phone numbers and emails or any of those life events, that information will only stay saved in your farm for 2 weeks, and that's because it's constantly being updated. So I'll show you how you can make sure you have that elsewhere, but always save your farm. In the export, you have a couple of options. If you purchase the phone numbers and emails, I recommend you save the full farm, and that will just be an Excel spreadsheet, have all of the information associated with this particular farm. It'll stay in your Excel spreadsheet as long as you keep it on your computer, so you have access to the phone numbers and emails. For marketing purposes, for mailing, all you need is the core fact spreadsheet. And this spreadsheet will give you, and I've got to stop sharing this screen and pull up this Excel spreadsheet to show you. But the CSV format is all that third-party marketing sites need for sending out your mailers. So it would be all set to go that you can upload this into a third-party marketing site. If your company has a marketing department, this is all that's needed for them to be able to do your mailers. Those of you that I've helped with Breakthrough Broker, again, this is all that Breakthrough Broker needs to have uploaded in order to be able to get your mailing sent out. So that's your spreadsheet, your core fact spreadsheet. So under export, core fact. And then you have the Avery labels. So this is your label design, 5160. It's really the most common label size. You can have them addressed to current homeowner and or current resident or to future homeowner. So the future homeowner is great if you want to target those that are renting and the opportunity for buying, where you can have it directed to the future homeowner and make sure it goes to the site address. So that's where in your farm, you can focus on those non-owner occupied properties, have it go to the site address and really target potential buyers in getting into the market while they have an opportunity and interest rates still being low. I typically have the labels to current homeowner. The and/or current resident to me screams marketing, so I typically have it go to current homeowner. You can export it into a PDF or into a Word doc. I typically do the Word doc because it allows you, show you that as well. I do the Word doc because it allows you to edit. So if you have addresses, oh, sorry, it didn't like me sharing that. There we go. If you have addresses that have a trust, or this one here that has an LLC, it allows you to go in and edit those so that you don't have the trust as part of the address label if you choose to do so. Then these are all set to go to be able to be printed directly onto the labels. These can also be uploaded into your third-party marketing sites. Some of the marketing departments, if you're doing postcards, they do not need to have address labels because they are able to print the addresses directly on the backside of the postcards. So make sure you check on that. The address labels may or may not be needed. They can print on the envelopes directly or onto the back of the postcards directly, but those are your labels. The other thing in the export that is a great feature is this walking farm long. I like showing this to agents because as the weather starts warming up and you have an opportunity to get out and engage yourself within the neighborhoods that you really want to focus on and be more of a specialist, you can pull up this walking farm. And what it does is it puts all of the properties in order as you would be walking up and down the neighborhood. This farm, because we did next sellers, these are homes that are not all right next to each other. It's in a larger farmed area. So the walking farm is most beneficial when you are focused in on a specific neighborhood. And then it will put all of those homes in order as you walk up and down the streets. And it gives you some basic information that you have to be able to engage with those homeowners. It gives you their name, tells you how many years they've owned the property, tells you what the sales price was when they purchased it. So you have already some kind of cheat sheet data to be able to have an intelligent conversation that's more specific to their property. And so this is a great resource to be able to have access to and have it with you in walking the neighborhoods. So that's just the walking farm. Again, if you look at this map, because we did the next sellers, that walking farm is not aligned with homes in a more narrow boundary area. So with the walking farm, I recommend focusing in more so on a narrow specific neighborhood, but I still wanted to show you pulling that up. The dynamic stats, I'm going to get into that on a different farm to be able to show you that, because this, with the homes being in different developments, the dynamic stats information is not as helpful. So I will show you the farming for a specific neighborhood to get into a couple of other things. So I'm going to clear this farm. I'm going to do a specific area. So for the dynamic stats, I want to show you how you can pull this up for a specific neighborhood that doesn't encompass so many different developments. So I'm just focusing on one neighborhood. When I hit next on this, how many homes are in that particular neighborhood? 71. I'm not narrowing down anything on this particular farm because I really do want to target that full neighborhood. So when I go into the dynamic stats, what this is going to pull is information that allows you to have more data to share with your clients that are in that neighborhood already, and those that you want to target and sending information that's very specific to their home and their immediate neighborhood. What the turnover rate is in that neighborhood, the average sales price in the last 12 months, how many homes there are, how many sold in the last 12 months, and what percentage is non-owner occupied. So this is a great little detailed stats report. You can print it out. You can put this into your own marketing content and be able to share it with those homeowners in that neighborhood. And it's very valuable because it's not about everything that's happening in Reno. This is very specific to the homeowners of that neighborhood. So it has more reason for them to connect with you as a specialist and sharing things with them that they're not seeing elsewhere. So that's the dynamic stats. I'm going to show you again on the walking farm since this is a specific neighborhood. And a question came regarding the mobile app. We do have this on the mobile app. And so you can pull this information up, although I don't recommend you doing your whole farm on the mobile app, just because it is a tad bit more cumbersome. And the fact that the screen is small and it's easier for you to have errors or make mistakes. But you can pull your saved farms and information from your mobile app. You can do the property searches from your mobile app, which is really handy. So on this farm, like I said, it will pull out and tell you if it is a rental in big, bold letters so that you know. These are all in order as you would walk up and down the streets, and it just keeps it in a nice little cheat sheet format for you. And again, I recommend always saving your farm. Within a specific neighborhood here, you can also do a new possible lead search. And what this will pull is it's looking at all of the possible leads, and it's looking just at that narrowed scope of that neighborhood within the last 12 months. And there was one affidavit of death, and you have the opportunity to purchase that record if you would like. So it's a way of doing a lead search in a whole neighborhood and not having to look for each of those leads individually. Okay. All right, and now I'm going to jump over to the statistics. So I'm going to clear out. I always recommend clearing after your search before you start a new one. The statistics, this is a really cool feature of being able to use this to pull up the stats. You can do it in a boundary search on a specific neighborhood, or you can do a larger scale search and look at an entire zip code. Because I've been doing boundary searches for the statistics, I'm going to do an area search just so you can see the difference. With the area search, you do have to fill in your county information because you haven't marked any boundary lines. So you have to fill in the county. For this, I'm going to do 89511. You can search for more than one zip code at a time. And I'm going to focus on single family residence. This is not pulling up individual homes. This is pulling up property tracts. So what this is going to provide for you is data on the different property tracts in the 89511 zip code. It's going to tell you what the turnover rate is, how many homes are part of that property tract, what the total sales have been in the past 12 months, the average sales price, average years owned, and percentage of non-owner occupied. What this gives you is an awesome way of determining neighborhoods that are worth focusing those marketing efforts based off of the potential that they offer. Obviously, all of these with this 100% turnover rate, those are your new build developments. One home was built, one sold. So you're just seeing that turnover for those new builds. So you don't want to focus on those. You want to scroll down and focus on other areas that have a good turnover rate percentage and that where there's also opportunity based off of the number of homes that are in that property tract and didn't sell in the past 12 months. So Arrow Creek subdivision 26. Again, when you hover over the bubble, it'll turn green on the map so you can see where it was located. There was a 12.82% turnover rate, 39 homes in that property tract, 5 sold in last year. 1.9 million was the average sales price. Average years owned is 7.6 years. So I'm just going to use that one for an example. But you can scroll through and see many opportunities to be able to focus on. So let's say that Arrow Creek subdivision 26, this is the neighborhood you really want to spend some time, and really market yourself. Share the information with those homeowners about this data that you have access to, these stats. So if that neighborhood is a neighborhood, you said, yep, that's what I'm focusing on. All you have to do is hit select. And what it's going to do is it's going to take you back in to those farming characteristics, but it's already marked the boundary lines of the neighborhood for you. So when you have your list that you download and generate, it's already targeted to just that specific neighborhood, that the stats you pulled up, you're able to share with those individuals, homeowners. So if you wanted to eliminate those that purchased in the last year, so we're going to get rid of the ones that we're going to eliminate those that have purchased within just the past year to not target those individuals. So I have 34 properties. You can go ahead and download that. You have your list, and you can have the option to go back to your stats in order to be able to pull that information. If you, oops, I forgot to pull that information up, save your farm set, you can be able to pull your list back up again, go back to your stats in order to be able to see that information that you wanted to be able to share with them. So the statistics are a great way of pulling information that is specific to an individual neighborhood, and then also being able to look at opportunities within different pockets of Reno and Sparks and Carson City and Douglas County in order to identify what areas would be a great way for you to be able to invest your marketing dollars and your efforts for this next year. So before I jump really quickly over onto the net sheets, just to show you that tool and how you can use your property search data and your mortgage amortization to have a more accurate net sheet when you go to a client appointment meeting. I want to stop and give you an opportunity, if you have questions regarding the title toolbox, property searches, farming, or statistics, feel free to go ahead and type that into the chat so I can answer that for you before we jump over to net sheets. And on the mobile app, it is My Title Toolbox in the App Store. And I'll send that information when I send you the link for signing up for Title Toolbox as well. Okay, so really quickly on the net sheets. This is our signature bottom line application. So this, you have your buyer's net sheet, seller's net sheets, and the seller to net. So the seller to net, this is really helpful if you're meeting with a client and they are on the fence on whether or not they want to list. They have a certain amount that they are hoping to take away and have as their proceeds after all closing costs are covered. So this is something that you can show your client right when you are meeting with them. And this is kind of a worksheet that you can do together. If you type in the property address, all of our fees are automatically calculated based off of the sales price and location. So you can put in the price that you would list the property at. And, oh, excuse me, sorry, we have, this is your loan to be paid. So if you have the amortization schedule and you know that they owe $169,000 on the property, and the seller is telling you they, at the end of the day, want to net $250,000 after all fees are paid, and you calculate, it will tell you what the sales price of the home would need to be in order to cover a full 6% commission and all closing costs and pay off the existing loan. So this opens up the conversation, especially in homes right now that homeowners may not realize the prices that homes are selling for now and the equity that they truly do have in their home. So it's a great opportunity for you to be able to have a conversation with them. The house would need to be listed at $451,000, but you would recommend, based off of comps and what's happening in the market, that they list a home at $500,000. So at the end of the day, the seller is going to net even more than what they're hoping to net after all closing costs are paid. So the Sellers to Net is a great tool for you to be able to use with your clients. In the menu, you can print it for your clients or email it to them directly. It does have the language in there that I'll show you on the Sellers Net sheet that it is an estimate. So it does have that as well. So just in a regular Sellers Net sheet, again, you would enter in the property, put in the sales price that you are listing the house at. You have the ability to adjust and change any of these boxes. You can change the commission. If the commission is being adjusted, home warranty is not going to be part of it. You're able to edit, make any changes to this net sheet. You know, the existing balance on the loan. In the menu, you said you can email or you can print it directly. I'm going to show. I'm going to show what the net sheet looks like. One second. There we go. So this has your full breakdown on the net sheet, as well as the language about it being an estimate. It would have your name on it instead of mine. And it does have the signature lines for your clients to be able to acknowledge receiving. Make sure it shows up. You also have the opportunity to change the settings within your account. If there's anything that you want to have saved that stays on there permanently, you can do so. You have your buyer's net sheets as well, and it's the same format for you to be able to enter in the sales price, enter in their amount for their down payment, loan, and have all the fees calculated for your clients to be able to share that with them. So that is on the net sheets and ways that you can use the property profile information that it offers to have a more accurate net sheet for your clients to have access to very quickly and easily. I am always happy to help with the net sheets, but I know oftentimes agents want to be able to have access to get in and pull that information yourselves and be able to have quick, easy reference to do so. So that is the Signature Bottom Line net sheet application. So like I said, I will send out an email to all attendees. I will include in that the link for your Signature Title Toolbox to create an account, to have access to those property profiles and being able to do your farming and statistics. I'll send you the information about the mobile app that you can find in the App Store for Title Toolbox. And then I will send you a link for the Signature Bottom Line net sheet application that will allow you to be able to generate those net sheets for yourself and have that access. So that will go out today. And if you have any other questions, now is the time to be able to ask those. I did have questions about the Premier data and how accurate. So I've worked with a lot of agents on these tools over this past year, and the feedback that we have received is that the data on the leads has been very accurate. They haven't had any issues with those leads being inaccurate. On the phone numbers and emails, they said that of all of the phone number and email leads that they've used, the data that this tool provides was the most accurate that they had experienced. There were a couple of phone numbers that were no longer, had been disconnected, but they said it was really one or two that they had a couple issues with. But aside from that, it was very accurate. Another question, can we do the seller to net and buyers in the mobile app? Good question. No. So the mobile app is for our title toolbox. The signature bottom line is our NetSheet application. And so those are two different application systems. So we are working on the mobile NetSheet application that we will have in this first quarter. And when we have that completed, I'll send that information out as well. But as of right now, signature bottom line is on your computer only. It's not on the mobile app. But a very good question. Also, the signature bottom line right now is only for Nevada because it's where we have all of our rates filed. As soon as we have our California license, then it will also be available for California. The farming tool on the title toolbox, that can be used anywhere in the United States. Thank you for asking that question about the mobile app. Any other questions? I know this is a lot of information to digest in an hour. The farming can be very cumbersome, and really knowing the amount of opportunities that Title Toolbox has to offer, and just getting comfortable with the different filters and knowing if you receive an error and identifying where that problem could be based off of filters that you have in place. So as you get in using the tool, if you have questions, know that I'm here to help. And the premier option is there isn't a fee to have the option. It's each one of those fees associated. If you're getting a phone number and email list and you do the get count, it'll tell you what the cost is for the list that you're trying to generate. If it's life events that you're searching, it will, if you do the get count, it will tell you what the fee is associated with the specific life event, but they range anywhere from 5 cents a record to 60 cents a record. And that's typically the range depending on what it is that you are pulling up. Oh, question came up. When you purchase the leads, are they the same for all agents, or are there different leads, different times? So the title toolbox in the leads that it's pulling up, that's updated every 2 weeks. So if an agent is pulling that information and using the same exact parameters as you are at the same exact time, then they're going to be pulling that same information. Because again, this is pulling from the assessor site. So this information is available through the assessors as well. It's just an easier, more convenient way of pulling the information in a tool that makes it more convenient from the download for your farming. But the likelihood that you have agents that are searching in the same exact spot and the same exact criteria is very slim. But it updates every 2 weeks. Well, I want to thank all of you for taking the time to start your new year and learning about strategies with farming and how this tool can really help you with your marketing efforts and work with your business growth goals for this next year. And Signature Title is here as a resource, as a help, as a guide. I am always happy to sit down and work with you individually, so don't hesitate to reach out, and have a fantastic and successful 2022. Have a great day, everyone. Bye.